Welcome to Super Fun Game Review Podcast Go, a look at modern and retro games with a dark sense of humor. Introducing your hosts, Steve.
Well, I'm a wreck now.
Harry.
Put it in my mouth.
Clark.
That man had one testicle and hit home runs, goddammit.
And Joe.
This went off the rails very quickly.
Let's start the show.
Welcome to another exciting episode of Super Fun Game Review Podcast.
Go!
We got a good one for you here tonight, folks.
We got a good one, yeah.
You're gonna love the way you play, I guarantee it.
Alrighty. So, tonight, we're going to be reviewing a game. Before we tell you what it is.
Since when?
Is that what we do?
Surprise.
That's wild. We do that occasionally.
Yeah. Like every other episode, something like that. Roughly.
Abouts.
A boot?
Next to me, I have Clark. It's accurate.
Nailed it. Oh, I remember that one.
Yeah, right?
Across from me, I have Harry.
Hashtag blessed.
Also across from me, Steve.
Thanks for being cool. No problem. It comes naturally.
And I'll be your host this evening. You're climbing a mysterious mountain, and you don't even know why.
I also like the less anxiety, more posing or something.
Yeah.
So if you couldn't figure it out, we're going to be reviewing
Ice Climbers 3DS.
close but not quite. It's not all ice.
Ice Climbers 3D.
So we're going to be reviewing Celeste. Before we get into it, though, we have a word from our sponsor, Deep Creek Glassworks.
Deep Creek Glassworks.
Deep Creek Glassworks.
Since 2013, Deep Creek Glassworks has been making handcrafted, durable works of art for your life, so you can enjoy it, because it looks fucking great. You want glasses to drink out of? Boom, got it. Do you want straws to drink said liquid out of said glass? Boom, got that. Holy shit, I want stuff to put on a Christmas tree. Guess what, motherfucker? He has that too. Yeah, you're holding back.
No, just not gonna do it.
Nope. Yeah. Not just for Christmas trees. Ornaments also as like sun catchers. Some really awesome fucking marbles.
Crown of Thorns.
Crown of Thorns.
The Crown of Thorns was fucking awesome.
Yeah, that was really neat. And I saw
Can't get over that.
Yeah, saw some pictures of his old one and like what he does now. It's like holy shit! Look at him go.
Yeah.
Pretty.
You can, if you like just following him on Instagram and stuff like that, you can see how like much he's experimenting and just like getting better and better. I mean, not that his stuff isn't good, but like it's just like it's getting ridiculous.
Yeah. No, it's.
I'm like, how do you do this with glass?
Yeah. Experimentation is the evolution of an art form.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And that's what it's all about. And always finding something new and a way to do it a little bit better. And that's the quality and the heart in the pieces that you can expect to find from Deep Creek Glassworks, work spelled WORX. With that, if you use our promo code SUPERFUN, you will receive 10% off of your first purchase, and that purchase is going to be sent to you for free.
In a crush resistant box X.
Free shipping, crush resistant boxes. What else could you want? I mean, do you want your box to be crushed?
Got him.
Not this one. Not Tanner's box.
Or your box.
Or your box.
Or yeah.
Yeah. No. It's like it's
Don't let the mailman crush your box.
Man, fuck you, FedEx.
They are the worst.
Had a guy like throw a box like 20 feet the other day. Hit my front door. I got him on camera. It hit my front door, hit the top step of my stoop, and then rolled down my front porch into the sidewalk, and he had to come back anyway. I was like, you fucking idiot.
You could have like
What a jackass.
not had to do this entire thing.
Don't do this. If you're like a FedEx or a UPS guy listening to our podcast, don't do this stuff.
Please don't.
People just lose faith in your fucking companies when this shit happens.
Yeah. And I know you don't give a shit for the company, but give a shit for yourself, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't be the next person to blow up on Reddit.
Yeah, you're everywhere. So go check out Deep Creek Glass Works, works spelled WORX.com. Check out the Instagram, the Etsy, social medias. You just type in that works. Because that works.
Sure.
Like, that'll work.
Today.
Today. All right. So, initial impressions.
I had never heard of this game before. The only time I did was when it came up in one of our previous Mubbers episodes where we were mashing games together, and it came out and we're just like, well, we can't do that one because no one knows what the fuck it is. So, yeah, I was excited to just play something I had never fucking heard of before, and was pretty critically acclaimed.
Yeah.
It was pretty well received, so.
Yeah, same as Clark. I never heard of it, and then Joe had mentioned that he was listening to, like, the soundtrack itself. He's like, oh, yeah, no, this is for, like, the next game that we're going to be reviewing, or at least, like, the next one on his list. Mm-hmm. And I think we were going to pick up, like, the storage cabinet from Lowe's or something, and you had it playing in your truck. I'm like, all right, this sounds pretty funky. Like, it's pretty cool.
Pretty funky.
Yeah. So it's like already right there, like, okay, cool soundtrack. So let's see what the game's all about. And then when I actually looked at, like, the trailer for it, I'm like, this is not what I was expecting, but all right.
Yeah.
Sweet. This is right up my alley.
Harry?
I'll keep it brief. I'd never heard of this game before. I did not do any research, did not watch a trailer. I downloaded it and just started playing.
There you go.
That's it.
Nice. So very similar, obviously, for me. I'd never heard of it until we did that Mubbers episode. And then it just, like, the soundtrack just ended up in my Spotify playlist at some point when I was just, like, listening to video game music, like, during work or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then, like, after a while, like, a couple of tracks, like, hit me, and I was like, I keep recognizing, like, a couple of these tracks from this game. I was like, let me... And then I was like... And then I really paid attention to it, and I was like, oh, that's that game from that Mubbers episode. Mm-hmm. And then I started just listening to the soundtrack, and then it ended up in, like, my Spotify Wrapped, like...
Oh, your yearly playlist?
Yeah, like my yearly thing where it was like, no, this is like one of your top 5 things you've listened to. And I was like, I need to just play it at this point if I listen to it that much.
Yeah. Right. That makes total sense.
I'll be honest though, like, there's been a couple, like, songs just on, like, random playlists that I've listened to. I'm like, I kind of want to play that game now.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yep.
Like that. I think I mentioned this to you guys before, that everyone's going to the Rapture or something like that.
Yeah.
I heard music on just, like, a random video game playlist. I was like, I started watching videos and, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's how I found Crypt of the Necrodancer. It randomly came up because I do listen to video game music on my Spotify. So on my Discover Weekly, it just was like, oh, here, you might like this song. It's from this video game. And I was just like, oh, cool. I've never heard of this game before. And then I looked it up and was like, I'm playing this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I literally wanted to play this just for the soundtrack alone that I had listened to on Spotify. So I was like, all right, fuck it. Let's do it.
That's
Fair enough.
Let's get in.
Fair enough.
That's a cool reason to play a game.
Yeah. All right. So that covers initial impressions. Let's double jump our way into game development.
Clutch.
Game development.
All right. So very interesting. There wasn't a lot of game development, but it was very interesting from what I could find. So this game was programmed mostly by 2 people, Maddie Thorson and Noel Berry. They initially made this game as... so Celeste was made as a spin-off of a game that they made during one of the game jams, if you're familiar with those.
Oh, really?
Where they do, like, a 4-day, like, long weekend, like...
Yeah.
They go somewhere and they collaborate with other developers, and they make a game out of a theme that, like, they get that weekend kind of deal.
Yeah.
So they made basically this game, not same art style, but, like, all the same game mechanics and everything like that. It's actually in this game.
Okay. That's pretty fucking cool.
You have to find it on a level, and then you unlock it and you can play it.
Gotcha.
So after they made, like, the initial mechanics in the game and stuff like that, because it didn't have any story or anything like that, they turned around and were like, hey, let's actually turn this into something. And then, so during the game development, Thorson, Maddie, who I would assume named the character after herself, Madeline.
Yeah.
During the development of this game, she was battling severe depression and anxiety, and realized that when she was younger, she would use challenging platformers as an escape from reality.
You can see that in this game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's just
And so she also took that as like a kind of a point when she was making the game and the story, and she wanted to use this recognition of herself into the game, and at the same time make it encouraging for players, even though it is very difficult. As like a point of like, hey, things can be difficult, but like you can do it.
Yeah. And try and persevere.
Yeah. So once they were, they initially announced the game like outside of the Game Jam thing at PAX West in 2016. And that was about 2 years before it was released in January of 2018.
Okay. Yeah, it was a pretty small team.
Yeah.
It was like, I think in like the opening, a game made by, and I think they had 5 names and friends. And
Yeah.
friends were like another 5 people.
Yeah.
yeah.
Like there really wasn't too much. Like, it's not like a huge number of people or a big team that really put into this, but
I think there's something really to that the the main developer like takes from like personal life experiences and is just like, okay, I'm going to actually just like make my suffering and my kind of experiences the game. I always think that's like kind of compelling, and you can tell what games that falls into,
Right.
and what games, like when you see like the underlying themes, for sure.
yeah. I mean, it would be kind of like under story a little bit, but I think kind of like touching on it. I even like wrote down at some point, like going through like some of the story, it seems like a lifelong struggle put into one game.
Yeah.
To where this was just like, I was not
Expecting it.
Yeah, exactly. Which we'll touch more on like story, but yeah, it's just seeing it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'll stop there. I'll wait there.
I feel like that game development gives this story a lot more context, because I feel like without that, there's some missing pieces. But that makes a lot more sense that you're that she went with he went through this. She went through those struggles. So,
All right. Well, let's hop at a red ball and fly across the screen.
nice.
Where are we flying to, Joe?
Story.
Story begins as the main character, Madeline, decides to climb Celeste Mountain. As she begins her approach to the mountain, an old woman named Granny warns her that the climb is difficult and that she should not proceed. As she climbs the mountain, she finds a deserted city where she comes across a fellow climber named Theo. After continuing the climb, she meets Mr. Oshiro in a rundown hotel. This is also where Madeline comes to find that she has another part of her that she finds in the mirror. The other part of Madeline, also known as Badeline, tries to sabotage.
Is that canon or is that like?
So that's what the developers actually call her.
Okay, all
right.
It's not. It's not. Yeah, Badeline.
Bad
like
Madeline.
Bad. Yeah. That's what the developers call her, but it's not actually like. in the
Okay,
game.
all right.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah,
gonna say, did I miss that? Like,
No.
No.
So Badeline tries to sabotage her and pisses off Mr. Oshiro, who chases her out of the hotel. Madeline comes across Theo again as they are crossing on a gondola to proceed up the mountain. Madeline causes the gondola to stop, and Theo has to help Madeline calm down from a panic attack. After the gondola crosses the gorge, Madeline confronts Theo about her mental issues and who Badeline really is. Madeline decides to confront Badeline about her and wants to leave her behind. Badeline gets upset and throws Madeline down the mountain, where she comes across Granny again. Granny suggests to Madeline that she should embrace Badeline and work through her issues instead of trying to ignore them. After finally working together and confronting her, they proceed up the mountain together as a team.
So yeah, the dynamic between the two and really kind of really seeing like Madeline struggle against herself and then just basically battling. I'm glad there's
a name.
A name
just
to
referred to
actually
it as
get
part of
battling
me
is
in the game, and I was just like, this is going to be rough.
And that's just like the depression, the anxiety, the anxiousness, which is anxiety. But I mean, it's like all the negative thoughts accumulated into like one thing, which
into a persona, yeah.
And like we've all been there at one point or another. So to kind of like have them make where it's like, here's like herself and she's unsure, and then here's this whole other side that is literally fighting you the entire journey. I mean, her journey up the mountain, but I mean, just in like everyday life and whatnot. I thought it was like once it started getting more in depth of the story and kind of like, you know, the relationship between the two, it's like, okay, wow, this is actually getting a lot deeper of like an overall message, I guess, than what I was expecting like in the first place.
Yeah. Yeah, when that story like arc changes, when she like confronts Theo and talks to him and then like talks to Granny and stuff like that. It was just like, it was very like empowering almost. I was just like, holy shit, like that is a very unique way to address this issue that you said, like everyone has this in some way.
And then really when like when you see then like with like the right before the opening where it says like here's the team and Maddie is, you know, like in the forefront and then the character being Madeline, it's like, okay, so it's not only just this story is written this way, this is her bringing, you know, what she went through and what she struggled with like to like a visual representation. And when that like clicked for me, I was like, okay, I'm even like more invested because I'm not just playing this game, I'm getting to understand her story, I guess, in a certain way. Yeah. Storyception.
I kept thinking, so like you finally realize that Battling is like a manifestation of like some kind of emotion that's going on in Madeline. But I was trying to like pinpoint like the other characters because they're in some like fantastical world that doesn't make sense. And I was thinking that the other characters might be symbolism for something.
Yeah,
but I couldn't really piece together like what they all were.
So what actually was I was going to say was I was going to try to like break down the different like characters and stuff. Like I actually think that in a nutshell, if at the end of the game they revealed that it's just Madeline, she's been the only character the entire time, right? It would have been something like Theo is that self-doubt or confidence and calm and inner worth like type of character. It's like kind of what he represents. Granny is that like that conscience and that wisdom.
But wait, hold on. Before we go past Granny seemed to be like almost dismissive at times, though.
Kind of.
Well, wisdom is also often dismissive of doubt, which Madeline is filled with. Madeline is filled with doubt the entire time. She's second guessing herself. It's the whole reason that Madeline comes out.
Yeah,
and wisdom is often dismissive of doubt. In general, like that's so. And Ochiro is kind of like the aspect of the brain that is to like satisfy others and like this conscious needing the approval and satisfaction of others to a fault.
Now that I'm thinking, it's like Ochiro might have been like the embodiment
like the pleaser
of anxiety. It's like, oh, I hope this is okay. Is this all right? Does she actually like me?
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Like he's like a representation of like anxiety, trying to please others before yourself.
Right.
You know. So then I was trying, like, as I was kind of like formulating these thoughts while playing the game, I was like, okay, so then I guess the mountain is something like self-worth, because she can't do it until she's complete, and you can't, like, especially like I'm someone that has battled depression a lot, and self-worth is something that I still struggle with.
Oh yeah.
And until she has all of those pieces, she can't go, like, and once she embraces all of those things, like, she apologizes to Oshiro before she can climb the mountain. She listens to her wisdom. She understands that Oshiro, like, she explains to Oshiro that, like, oh, hey, like, I didn't mean anything by that. Like, it's just I wanted to go. Like, she settles all of this stuff within her until she can climb that mountain. And then once she does, she feels like she deserved it. Like, she deserved the win.
Yeah. And like, I think something that I really took away from it, and I really did appreciate, was watching her go from being so dismissive of battling and saying, it's like, I don't need you, you do nothing for me. It's like, I can't have you here. And then it starts coming around. It's like, okay, well, to a certain extent, it's not so much I can't just completely push you away, because it doesn't work like that.
Correct.
I need to understand that we need to work in conjunction with each other to be able to progress forward. And then that's where you start to see where it's, you know, it's not everything is like okay right off the bat, where it's you take that journey up, like some of the end levels of the mountain of Madeline and battling, kind of being like, all right, now we're kind of like, we're coming to terms with each other a little bit, and like kind of swaying, where it's not like it's necessarily like all, you know, honky-dory, but it's like, hey, it's like we do kind of need each other a little bit, but they need to kind of like balance it out to get to that point, to get to the pinnacle of the mountain.
It's all about balance. I mean, like, even just mental health in general, like, like,
you can't just be like, oh, I'm done with this. It's
I'm going to just ignore this, like, one part of my person.
Right.
Like, then you're not your whole self.
That's not going to do it.
And and that's not how that works. Like, that's why a lot of people that, like, take anxiety medication don't feel like themselves while they're on their medicine, and why a lot of those types of treatments, if it's just the medicine alone, doesn't work. It's because you can't just ignore or suppress that one emotion. You actually have to come to terms and live with that stuff and find a balance within yourself. Like, and you need to know when you have, like, you know, a safe space to have an anxiety attack, or deal with your anxiety in a safe space, and things like that. And not knowing when you can is how you become unbalanced and things like that, and not being whole.
Yeah, and I think like that entire I'll just keep saying, that entire journey was well demonstrated, like throughout the game, and
it wasn't like on the nose the entire time. It was like subtle. It wasn't as super like in your face. If you just want to play a really hard platformer, this game is that also.
Yeah,
but the story here is just, you know, especially if you like really deal with anxiety and depression, or have in your life, like, this game spoke to me very, very deeply.
Yeah, it's like, well, I'm sitting there going through, and it's like I know people in my life where it's like games like aren't their thing or anything, but I would like them to kind of sit down and get, like, if we could take like just the entire like story portions of it and just kind of lay it all out. I mean, you just kind of see it. I mean, I even found it, you know, beneficial. You know, I go through my own shit too. It's like just kind of seeing the way it goes, like, wow. And that's when I actually sat down and like I said out loud, like, as it was going, I'm like, wow. It's like that. It's like that's where what I'm saying is, like, I totally did not expect a story like this along for a game, and it had, you know, it had more of an impact than, like, by the end of it, than what I thought it would from the very beginning.
Yeah, like, you know, same thing. I mean, I have people in my life that deal with it too. And it's like, they explain what they're going through and things like that. And it's kind of different hearing it from a person that goes through it. And then like we played this game and it was literally the same thing that they already told me, but like put into an art form.
Yeah.
Like, and it was just totally different. And I just like absorbed it in a different way.
Totally different
and,
medium.
Like, it like the things that were like clicking and it's not like I wasn't like understanding of these people before.
Right.
But it just was different.
Gave a different perspective.
Yeah,
kind of.
totally different perspective.
Yeah.
And it was kind of moving.
Yeah.
In a way.
Totally agree with that.
I'll be the guy. I just want to throw out a counter though, just because it's going to bug me if I don't get it in. And I think the story was decent. I don't think I got as invested in the story because I was so frustrated with the gameplay. Okay. I think it pissed me off that like when some of these moments came out, I'm like, I don't fucking care.
You should be fucking sad.
And that's a shame because I think they are trying to tell a pretty meaningful thing here. I was just so angry at the fucking game.
You weren't absorbing it all in the moment.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like it just like
I get
for
that.
somebody who's suffering from anxiety, let's make the most anxiety-ridden product on the market. It's
kind of ironic in some moments.
yes,
Gonna
it is.
spike your levels right here.
Well, so I actually think that's part of the immersion of it. They fill you with this like kind of like anger that you normally wouldn't be having, or this anxiety about like getting through the levels and things like that, like to put you in Madeline's shoes a little bit.
Like, why can I not? Why can I not
can't
get
I
past
fucking do this?
I see it right there. I just fucking can't do it.
Right.
And then you
then
get
you do it.
through, and then you
then
do
you
it,
do
and you're
it.
like, fucking right. And then there's another one.
Yeah.
It's like, God damn it, get out of here.
And
DJ
then there's some
Khaled.
moments where you just have to focus on the feather.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Focus on the feather.
You're just like, all right,
Slow breaths.
let me take a break, ground myself a little bit, get back into it.
Yeah.
I took breaks after every single like level. Like once I was done a chapter, I was like, okay, I'm gonna walk away. Just gonna. This is not a game to sit and just try to like. I'm gonna get through
pound
all
out a
of this
day or
all in one
whatever.
day. Yeah, no, it's
No.
It's
You
totally
put yourself
not.
in suicide watch doing that.
Yeah.
I'm on the total opposite. If I had the time to, it's like I could just keep going. But that's also like like a little bit of like addictive personality. Who would have imagined? But it's like those where it just like it hits and it's just like, all right, I did one. I
That
got past
dopamine
it
hit
one.
when you do complete like a stage or
Let
like
me
a
get
screen
great,
section.
Let me get another.
nice, yeah.
And then of course there's ones where you die like 10, 20 times on a single screen. And then it's like by
Yeah.
the end, it's like I finally got it.
I think
Okay.
I had like 150 on one screen.
Oh yeah, I've had
On one
I was up
screen?
there.
Yes.
So at least
Damn.
like with that, it's like, all right, cool. I got this. Let me get another one. All right, no, I got through that one. That was a really neat. What do they have for me next? Let me keep going.
Yeah.
So at least that fed into that part of my brain where it's just like it triggered it. It's like yeah, let's go.
I'm not good at platformers though. I'll be honest. So let's just get that out of the way.
That's fair.
That's fair.
Do we want to move in the gameplay then? It sounds like we're kind of moving that way.
Yeah,
Is there anything else in the story that we didn't touch? I mean,
I don't know that there is.
it's not long, but like it said, it's mostly centered around like those few key moments.
If you watched the story of this game, it's a 10-minute thing on YouTube.
Yeah.
But that's not the way to experience this game.
Yeah.
No,
No, I think that kind of like at least
it doesn't
covered,
hit you
like,
the same.
No,
No.
absolutely not.
Yeah. You have to struggle too.
Yeah. All right, so let's break a gem to get our double jump back and move our way into gameplay.
Gameplay.
I fucking love these games.
So I generally don't. This one I did.
Yeah.
Like when we played Cuphead, absolutely hated it. Now it was, platformy, but it was boss battle-y, right?
Yeah.
Similar style though, right? I'm generally not a fan. This one, awesome.
I like the pure platformer versus the bullet hell that Cuphead was. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
That's fair.
there's a difference between the two of them. And just
For
real
sure.
quick, I'm sorry, your tummy's rubbing your cord and I hear it.
Damn it.
tell me, Rob.
Sorry, I never
I
listened
wish.
to the Cuphead episode, and I've seen videos. Like I've always been interested in that game, but like, are you generally saying it was not
Oh,
great?
it's a great game.
Not for me.
It's just a tough fucking game. It's a bullet hell game if you've ever played anything like that.
I mean, I've seen videos of the game. I kind of get what you're saying. Like, there's shit flying all over the screen. You got to dodge perfectly.
So this is kind of more like Mario. Like Celeste is more like a Mario, where there's like less, like an old school like Super Nintendo Mario, where it's just that platformer on steroids.
Yeah.
Whereas
I was gonna say Mario is not nearly
no,
this difficult.
no.
You don't say.
It's the steroids.
This is and like Cuphead is like
It's like Dark Souls platform.
it's like Galaga on steroids, where you're going up and down the screen, left and right, shooting up. Or wait, no, not Galaga. The fuck am I thinking of?
I know what you're
Centipede?
talking- No, like the
No,
like 1942, where you're like the plane or whatever.
Space Invader.
where you're
okay,
kind of
yeah.
like moving around the screen, shooting the entire time, and if you're not shooting, you're dying. That's it. And you're having to time pixels of jumps to get through bullets so you don't get hit and stuff like that. That's Cuphead. This is a little different, where it's like, am I going to have the timing to make these jumps? Whereas Cuphead's like, am I going to have the time to make these dodges to avoid all of this shit that's coming right at me? A little different. There's just, slight differences.
No, I did not expect the game to be this difficult. I know because you guys, like Clark and Joe, started playing before I got a chance to, and they were saying it's like be prepared to die a lot, and that is going to happen. But it's also where it's not necessarily always like as frustrating as like some other games that I've played that are kind of like this. I mean, there are times you're going to hit a point just like I fucking can't right now. I need to walk away. Like you said earlier, Clark. But it's still one of those games where even though when that happens, that's where it's like, all right, well I died 6 times trying to do it this way. Mm-hmm. Let me take a second, kind of like reassess like my path. And then you find it and you make it a little bit further. It's like, okay, all right, so we're gonna go this route.
Yeah, there were plenty of times where I was like doing like those mini stages where I was like on a screen and I was like working my way through it, and I'd work on it for like what felt like 10 or 15 minutes, and then be like, well, let me just try this other way. Mm-hmm. And then realize that like I had been working on it the wrong way the entire time and shit like that. Especially once you got like to the stages where like you had the little bubbles to jump into and things like that.
Yeah.
I was just like, holy shit.
Do I need to do a dash here? Do I need to just let gravity take hold? Do I need to dash, a pillar before this so I can kind of like slide into it?
You're like,
and
okay,
stuff like
no,
that.
I can't dash up to this cliff because I'm gonna need it afterwards because I'm not gonna get another one back until slightly later.
Right.
Yes.
There's a lot of planning.
Yes.
Trial and error.
It's it's a lot of trial error, and
Nailed it.
It's like an exercise in execution. Like, to get to the next screen, sometimes you just have to execute exactly what you have planned perfectly.
Yeah.
Whereas like Cuphead is just like, I have to like dodge and shoot and kill the thing on the next screen. Like that's, if we're still making that comparison, they're both very difficult games.
Right.
It's just the style is different.
Yeah, and I feel like this, there's like little technical things that you can do in this game that are a little hard to pull off at first, but once you start understanding it,
The game teaches you along the way, which is nice.
Yes.
Yeah, because there's it's pretty much like anytime like it does like a screen shift, your boost is regenerated basically.
Yes.
So there's a few, because I started going after, like after I beat the game, I started going after the crystal hearts. Well, for some of them, there's ones where you have to get up to like a certain point in like the top of one screen.
Yeah.
And kind of like boost yourself into the next, like when it actually does like
Next
a full
pan.
shift. And then from there, boost yourself over drop through another, drop back down through that screen break and then boost yourself back. And you're basically zigzagging back and forth so you can reach like another little side. So like there is like this kind of like, I don't know, I don't want to say like expert level, but it gets a lot more technical than how technical some of the things in the game like in itself actually are. And that's something I can appreciate where it's like, okay, they meant for you to have to figure this out to be able to get to this next level. But as soon as you get to this next level and start figuring it out, things get a lot harder from here.
Yeah.
Like it gets
They're like, okay, now that you got that mechanic, here's another new one. Yeah. And you're going to have to like do all of them together.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And it just keeps doing that. And it's pretty cool. Like there's a lot of games that we play where it just like throws a bunch of random shit at you at the end that you're just like, here's a new mechanic for the last boss in the game and shit like that.
Right.
And this like doesn't do that.
Yeah.
This is very much like, here's the first piece. Okay, here's the second piece. And then it's like, you're going to do them both at the same time now. And then like, here's the third piece. You're going to do all three of them at the same time.
Yeah.
It's that, and that for me is what made the platforminess of it, because again, I'm not a huge platformer, but it was like it just taught you everything. I mean,
that was enough for you to be like, oh, okay, cool, I can actually get behind this one.
Yeah.
Does anybody else have their numbers?
I remember mine in a rough capacity.
All right. Remember, because at least on like the final screen, it gives you number of strawberries, number of deaths, and playtime.
I had like 38 strawberries or 48. I can't remember.
I had 20.
Yeah, I think I had like 25.
All right. I ended up with 58 by the end. And then I had a total of 886 deaths.
Wow, that's
I had
low.
more than that.
What's that?
I had more than that.
Oh, okay.
I had like 2,300 deaths.
Oh, wow.
I did
Yeah.
not have that many.
Okay. And then my total play time was 7 hours, 35 minutes.
I think mine was roughly the same.
Okay.
Mine was like 6.
Gotcha. Okay.
like
6,
8 or
6:30.
Yeah. Well, because sometimes, too, in like some of the beginning levels, it feels like you could take like multiple paths to get to the same endpoint.
Yep.
And it's just a matter of like, are you going to find like the strawberry room, or whatever it is, like that like section of it. Mm-hmm. So that was kind of neat, and that gives it a little bit more of like go back for like replayability.
Yes.
So that way it's like, okay, well, I remember going like straight up last time. What happens if I start like going to the right?
Go to the right, yeah.
And then you find strawberries and stuff like that.
Yeah. And then go down with that.
And I thought the strawberries thing was actually kind of cool, where you can touch the strawberry, but you have to actually land safely before it would go. It would before it would count.
Right.
Which I thought was interesting. I was like, oh, like that's actually like they're not like, we don't want you to just get the strawberry. You need to get the strawberry and actually like land it. You have to stick the landing as well. And I thought that was a really interesting concept.
Yeah.
And why I didn't mess with it too much, because I'd be like, oh, this is a strawberry room. Is there another way out of here? Nope. Okay, I'm just gonna ignore you.
I actually went more for them later in the game.
Okay.
I wouldn't say skipped a lot of them. Like in the early game, I would say like the first 4 or 5 levels. If I saw them, I gave them a few attempts. But like after that, like the last few levels, I was hunting them out.
Okay. Well, probably because by then you're getting a little more of like the technique.
I was way more comfortable with the gameplay by that point.
Yeah. Even some
Joe wanted a bigger pie.
Yeah. I mean, even by the end of it, sometimes I would just like go off into like one of the little side paths, and I see where the strawberry's at, and I'm like, this ain't happening. I'll just walk back out and go look for another one. I'd usually try to give it like a shot or two, but unless it's like popping, I'm like, I'm not gonna like frustrate myself too much with this right now. It's like I'll just move on. There will be others.
Yeah.
And I think by because I did play after credits and went back, I think I ended up with 75 or 80 strawberries by the end of it, and then started going after like the and then
Not the game for me.
you.
Yeah, and then started going after like the crystal hearts, which that was just like an entirely different thing.
Where are they at?
I didn't see any.
There's one in each level. 1 or 2, I think, in each.
Well, there's
chapter.
only 4,
Yeah.
right?
No, there's
You need 4 to be able to start the core.
Oh God!
But there's like 8 or 9 total, and I think I got 5 or 6, something like that. Enough because like once it showed like the core was there, it's like, all right, I need to. I want to see what this is about.
And so chapter 8 and the core and all of that stuff is actually just DLC.
Chapter
Yeah.
8's the last level. The core would be like a 9 or whatever.
I think it still gave it like a chapter level or like a number
Yeah, I
associated with
Yeah,
it.
I thought the core
Yeah.
was 8.
I think the core was 8.
Maybe it was. Maybe I
Yeah.
misremembering.
Yeah, and then it's basically like the entire like everything you learned from the game, and then it just amps it up like a whole nother fucking level.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like I did not beat the core. Like it's like I got to a point where it's like, all right, it's time to start the next game because recording's coming up, kind of. But it is where it's like it's a super challenge.
Yeah.
And so were the ones where I don't know if you guys found. I only found 2 where you find like the cassette tapes that
I
have
got 1.
that have
The B-sides.
The B-sides, and those are like actual playable levels. And I didn't realize that. I thought it was just a collectible. And then once you go back over, when you complete the level and you hover over the cassette tape and say B-side, it pops up where it's like, oh, play or launch or whatever it says. Like, oh.
I assumed it was just a mirror version of the level.
It could have been. I didn't pay that much attention because some of the ones that I got were earlier in the game, and by that point it's like I don't really remember like too much of it, but it's like still super fucking hard.
When you went back and played the earlier levels, did you have all the power-ups and stuff that you gained late?
No.
Okay.
So you didn't have the extra boost or the extra jump or anything. You went back to like
Where you started at and all the abilities
with the
you
red
had.
with red
Yeah.
hair and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. Because I was hoping, like, when I went back, I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Well, I'm going to try to get some of these strawberries. This is going to be so much easier. And then you pop up, and
They're like, nah.
And Madeline shows up with just her regular red hair. I'm like, ah, fuck, this ain't going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ah, damn it.
And you go back through,
Stupid
and
Ginger.
you have no soul. And even going back and replaying the other levels, like the one where Madeline like first pops out of the mirror, happens again. So you still
Yeah.
get chased, and you know she still like follows your path and whatnot, and you still have to make your way through. So it's nothing changes with that other than the strawberries you already got are just grayed out, and now you just go find your other strawberries or crystal hearts.
Did anyone have any like favorite levels? Like any specific levels stick out to you as like a favorite?
The pit one, where you smash all the way through like the crystal all the way to the bottom.
Where you get
where
pushed off the
Battleman
mountain.
throws you down to the
Yeah,
down the
yeah,
mountain.
it's like
Yeah.
it's like a crystal jungle with like ponds
and
Oh,
waterfalls
yeah.
and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a cool one.
That was
I think
really
that's like
neat.
I think that's like 6.
something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
Because 7 is like where you are just like going up.
Yeah, and you have the meter counter.
Yeah. Yep.
I did not like the sky one, where you like the wind is blowing.
Oh yeah, that one was tough.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was pretty rough one. I did like the ascent like to the top, like where you're working, where the two of them are working in conjunction with each other.
Yeah, I loved that. That's
Because number one, it's like difficulty. It threw everything, the entire game at
It's
you
almost
again.
like an additional jump again.
Yeah.
In some spots.
yep.
Well, they
yeah.
had it in order on the Ascension. It felt like you revisited a segment of each
Yeah.
world
Yeah.
in
Yep.
the order that you discovered them.
Yeah, I really like that one. That was probably like the standout for me.
It was like the culmination of the game too.
Yeah.
Like it was like a nice just like cherry on top of just like all that shit you did. Like here's like a quick pass through again, to kind of trigger all those memories and
Yeah,
And it was also like, hey, do you remember how to play this level? Like, do you remember how to play Chapter 1? Because the mechanics are a little bit different than Chapter 2. And once you get through Chapter 1, then we're going to throw, Chapter 2 and Chapter 2's mechanics and kind of like tricks and things like that into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I thought was interesting.
because I also did like just about like that that level of the game, because that also like ties in like more of the story where it's like, okay, we're working as a team and everything else.
Right.
And that really made it more like enjoyable, like seeing it go through, and it's like, okay, that gets back into like the character development, and it's like, all right, I'm getting out of my funk, we're doing this.
It's like the secret of what she needed, where she's like, okay, I'm going to spend this entire climb actually confronting my anxiety so that we can work together.
Right.
And then the last, like, to get to the peak, it's the resolution of Madeline and Badeline together.
Yeah. Yeah.
Epic. It was just epic.
Yeah, it was. That was. I mean, not that there were bad levels, but that level was just like, it was awesome.
Plus, now that you finally get an extra jump, that just changes
Oh,
so
yeah,
much.
triple jump. Let's
yeah.
go.
Yeah. But I did like all like the little like extra things where you had like the little blue bubbles. So if you like went through it, it regenerated your boost.
Yeah.
So that way
Yeah.
it's like the way
Recharge or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the way that was really kind of like laid out, and how you had to use that in getting through the level. And some of them you could still have like a couple different ways of getting through it. Like maybe it's like going over the spiky mound instead of under the spiky mound or whatnot. So not all of it was completely linear. So you had some options, but I mean, sometimes you're just like, okay, this is going to be the easiest way to get through it. And I just need to get through it because I've already died 40 times. Please.
I think one of the mechanics that like was most interesting to me. Well, I wouldn't say most interesting, but to me, but like really like when you got it, it fucking was sweet. Was the blocks that when you stood on them and then like you like ducked or pressed up and shit like that, or pressed the direction, the block would like change direction, and you had to like get the block moving in a specific direction and then jump over like another spiky bit and land back on the block. And
or the ones like where I remember there was the one where you had to hold on to the side of the block to initiate it, quick jump on top, make it go down underneath this, direct it back up again. You had to jump over and then quick grab it, jump to another platform. It was just like, it was intense where it's just like, you cannot stop.
Yeah.
You just need to go, and
this thing's going to leave without you.
Yeah. It's like, it's no matter what you're doing, it's like, this is moving. So you need to do that. So like there were certain levels where there was like, it was multifaceted where it's like, all right, you have to be aware of like 4 things going on at once to make this work.
Yeah.
And it was not easy, but it felt so rewarding to actually like get through it and like nail it.
You know what really would have fucked up this game? If the reloading after a death was any longer than it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would
pretty much
it would feel
instantaneous.
Yeah. I'm just saying,
yeah.
if it was delayed by like 3 or 4 seconds, even that small amount would make this game feel fucking excruciating.
Into your game.
Yeah,
It would have been awful. I died 2,000 some times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
All right.
Thank you.
another thing I want to gripe. I do want to gripe about this because this actually hurt my hand after a while. This game, because I was gripping so tight, and just like if you don't hit something, it just, I don't know. I was like squeezing the fuck out of the controller.
Sounds
I
like you
was
have some
too at some
anxiety
points.
you need to work through there, bud.
No, I could agree with him. So for me, it was like my first knuckle on my finger when I was grabbing the
index
wall
finger?
sometimes.
Oh, okay.
Because sometimes I would be like pressing it like a lot just as I'm traversing, and then like so I would inherently just grab on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Right,
did that too.
so I did that
too.
I think whenever I jumped, I hit L2. Like
Yeah.
just like
Just in case you fuck up and you hit a wall, you're like, okay, cool. I can try to salvage this.
Yeah. So
No,
I
did
was
the exact
playing
same.
on an Xbox controller, which the triggers are thinner, right? Like vertically.
Yeah.
So it was right in my knuckle, and after squeezing for a while, I would agree, like it hurt, and I did have to change what like all of the triggers and bumpers did the same function. So I would have to change what finger I was using to do the wall grabs and stuff like that after a while to not fatigue my fingers.
Gotcha. I know I did change like the controls. I think I went to like Type C or whatever it was, like to change like the dash and like the grab, because it just wasn't.
Didn't feel right.
It didn't feel right. It's like, because I keep going for the wrong buttons for what I want to do.
Steve's like, how do I invert this?
Jesus.
So it
Still, it makes me sick thinking about it.
good. Deal with it. That I'm here to live on in your brain as the inverted one.
Who messed you up?
I don't
Must have been all the docking.
Yeah, I was touched as a child. But it took about like 2 or 3 levels before I actually... It was, apparently, I've known Joe for like 30 years. It took me a few levels to actually think to like go look to see if I could fucking change it. And I'm like, oh shit, okay, yeah, totally can. We're going to go ahead and do this.
All right, well, let's bake a sweet strawberry pie and move into graphics.
Graphics.
The art style of like when there was like the conversations going on, it's like, okay, it's like it's not displeasing or anything.
Yeah. It's pixel art.
Within like the actual gameplay itself, you know, it's still, I mean, looks all right.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's nothing where it's going to be like, oh my god, did you see that spike? Fucking gorgeous. But I mean, I thought it looked all right.
I had an issue with the sprites. I feel like they were 8-bit sprites in a 16-bit world. It felt like a disconnect. Like they could have up-resed the character models to match the environment, but I don't know. It just didn't work for me.
I will say, like, some of like the kill points in some of the levels didn't seem to quite line up. Like, because there was a couple levels like where you had to like jump all the way on like a wall and kind of like fall down it with like the little spikes at your back, so you couldn't really move.
Yeah,
and you're basically passing through like the little spikes. And on the same level, there's another one like down at the bottom where instead of jumping all the way over to like a platform and moving a couple screens to the right, there was a small gap in like thorns in the very bottom that you could pass through. And I tried to line it up like as best I could with the same spikes that I just kind of went through holding onto a wall rather than dropping down between the two. And it just didn't necessarily line up. And of course, I have to keep going until I actually get through because now I need to make a fucking point of it. But in some of it, it's like some of the graphics can be misleading from like where like the actual kill zone could be sometimes.
called hitboxes.
Yeah.
I was very confused at first.
All right.
The kill zone.
Yeah, I was like, kill?
Kill zone.
What?
It sounds more fun. Hitbox kill zone.
I thought the levels were impressive. I agree though, Harry, that the sprites were kind of lackluster. That crystal level that we were talking about earlier, like that is actually like a stunning work in
really
16-bit.
Yeah,
Like,
I think it's the
It still
most
has
beautiful
really,
world. That's-
really good lighting, even though it's, pixel art and everything too.
Yeah, they spent a lot of time with like just like the refractions of light in the crystals and things like that. But yeah, I there is this one section of the game where there was a lot of tiny white spikes, like all over everything.
Yeah.
And I figured out that I could jump from this one spot and hit the corner and grab, and I actually wouldn't die. I would be like in between two spikes. It was really weird, but it was like definitely made that easier.
Yeah.
I died a few times trying to get there, but like sometimes it just worked, and it would get me through. So like what you were saying with the hitboxes, I did experience that as well. Like
The kill zones.
yeah, the kill zone.
The kill zone.
For honestly, for a 5-person game, I really can't complain. I think the graphics are good except for the sprites.
Yeah. And at least going back, like, for the graphics when they were doing, like, the actual character animation when there was, like, the dialogue boxes coming up. It's like the small nuances in, like, their little facial expressions or whatnot. It's like, I think that was pretty neat, where it's just like, talking, and then it goes down a little bit. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? It might just be like kind of like a weird side eye, and then like a deeper side eye a little
bit. They did
bit.
like comic book frames.
Yeah,
yeah.
But it's like there was like little subtle changes in the animation that matched with the dialogue that was going on. I'm like, okay, I can dig this.
Speaking of the dialogue, I didn't pay attention to the other characters' text boxes, but I noticed Theo's was like a forest green plaid design that was in his text box.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Theo's a hipster.
Yeah, it makes sense then.
Yeah. That's what he was like going. He's like just taking pictures for the gram.
I wish I would have paid attention to the other
Hashtag blessed.
Yes.
I mean, it's the only really like difference in anything when it came to like the text boxes was just like when they like accentuated. Is that the right word? Like certain words that
Accentuated.
Yeah. All right. I think that's what I said.
That is what you said.
Awesome. Like certain ones where it had like a little bit of like a wavy text, or it just might throw like some weird like colors along with it just to give like an extra pop to that one. And it's like, that just kind of, I can go with it.
You know what the colors reminded me of? Auto translate in Final Fantasy 11.
Oh fuck yeah!
Do you need it?
Meat rod. Do you need it?
It just like reminded me of that, like where it was just like, okay, here's the phrase. This is the key word, and it's going to be automatically translated. Like, or, you know what I mean? Like it was just like, hey, this is the word you actually really need to pay attention to here.
Yeah.
It just like triggered that memory for me for some reason.
Crap.
Probably because I put like thousands of hours into that game.
Yeah, you did.
All right, well, let's jump up, grab B-side, and move into audio.
Audio.
I kind of said my sort of thoughts about audio when I was talking about the initial impressions.
That's weird.
It's the thing that
was
got
in the
me
wrong
into
segment then.
I mean, like it's the thing that got me to this game.
Yeah. Now, I would say this
You're
is...
gonna shit.
Yeah.
I would shit.
Got a turtle head poking its head out.
Nice.
Yeah. I would say this is like the shining segment of this game.
Yeah.
It would be the audio. It's like I really enjoyed it. It's like go back to the last level, like when you keep going up the mountain and it seems like the music just keeps intensifying and it keeps going up and it keeps the music is on, it keeps the vibe of wherever you're at, where I just feel like it's like, okay, this music or this soundtrack is appropriate for this point in time of where I'm at and what I'm doing.
Yeah, even the areas of the game where like you're stuck like on a screen or whatever, right? And you're like playing that screen for like 10 minutes. The way they loop the audio and stuff like that works really well. Mm-hmm. And then like you progress the screen and like every couple of screens it changes a little bit. And
what I noticed, the tempo picks up and it gets faster and faster the closer you're getting towards the end of the level.
Yeah, I thought that was a really cool design element to the audio in this game.
Mm-hmm. The music's just absolutely phenomenal. Specifically, the one song that I'm stuck on and I listen to probably once every time I'm in my car since I've played this is the confronting. I think it's called Confronting Myself. It's when you're chasing Battling.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That song is so fucking good, and it just like while it was happening, it felt so cinematic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like just like you're jumping, you're dodging her bullets, and you're just like all you got to do is touch her.
That was
That was
a fun segment too.
It really was.
That was
and it was just it blew me away. I was literally sitting there and I was just like cranking up my computer speakers while I was playing this. I was like, fuck yeah, let's fucking do this. Like it was so good. So good.
I did like kind of how like the speaking was, where it was like weird gibberish. It really reminded me of Katamari,
Okay.
I mean, it's different noises that they were making, but it felt like it was the same type of cadence.
Sure.
Where in, like Celeste had, and then Katamari's like, it just kind of had like that same like resonance, like backgrounds, like, okay, this is like da 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 da. And it's like,
sure.
Like I didn't mind that so much. And then they even had like the little bit of okay. It's where it's like all right, I get the attitude
tone or whatever.
Yeah, I get the tone, I get the attitude that you're trying to convey, like at this certain point. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, we go. Yeah, you're fucking annoying. Oh, I wish you wouldn't. Can you please stop?
Yeah.
I thought the voice acting was a little lacking in this game.
Well, yeah, no shit. You heard my quote. It's the same thing.
No, you're right. I think that the music is one of the highlights of the game. And it did feel like that sense of urgency picking up with like the tempo the closer you got to the edge of the level. It definitely worked in its favor. So I knew I wasn't far in the level when I was only getting 7 beats a minute.
I got a long way to go.
Yeah, son of a bitch.
We are at 55 beats per minute right now. I need to get this up to at least 270.
That's all I had for sound. Audio.
Let's take a look inwards. Talk about our final thoughts.
Final thoughts.
Harry?
I don't like platformers. I think I enjoyed this game first like 2 levels. And then when it started getting like really unbearably hard, it was just like, I'm not enjoying this. I like certain platformers like Aladdin on Super Nintendo.
Easy shit. Yeah.
I mean, I liked Shovel Knight as well. I don't think Shovel Knight was as hard as this.
It's not
because they have like
platformer in the same way.
Yeah.
It's different styles, but yeah.
I don't know. It's just platformers are not my genre, so my apologies ahead of time.
No, nothing to be sorry for. You like what you like.
I mean, I was good at Destroy All Humans. It doesn't mean I liked it.
That's why I said you like what you like. For fuck's sake. Maybe I'll live that down by season 12.
Nah.
No.
All right.
Yeah,
Good.
That would.
Hey, you know what?
Reverberating through the seasons.
You keep saying that. That makes me feel better. It's like it made a lasting impression on you. Doesn't have to be good.
At least they didn't make a sequel.
Destroy All Humans is my 9/11. Never forget.
Also ruined many lives.
Steve, final thoughts?
I really enjoyed this game. I'm a big fan of platformers, and I'm also a fan of like this. Almost felt like a cross between a platformer and like trial games. And I know I've talked about them recently, but it's where it's like, okay, you get to a certain point, you fuck up, you have to restart, but you find like a different way to get the job done. And that's just, I don't know, that is like right up my fucking alley. So to have that sort of gameplay along with the story that went along with it, I mean, I just feel like it checked all the boxes in my book. So I will say, for being a game I never fucking heard of before you said anything, thanks for bringing this to the table, because I really enjoyed my time with this game, and we'll probably go back and continue to be like, I got 15-20 minutes to play something. Why, let's boot up Celeste.
That's enough time to die like 100 times.
Yeah, exactly.
Clark?
All in all, I think this game, especially if you know someone that has like anxiety, depression, or you yourself, I think there's a lot out of this game that, I think there's a lot that you can get out of this game. Or if you just really enjoy very challenging platformers, I think this game is awesome too. So, all in all, especially for the fact that you can find it for super cheap most of the time, I think this is a fantastic game.
Very budget friendly.
So for me, like I said, the only kind of information I had before playing into this was the soundtrack. Essentially, it just hooked me, and I feel like the gameplay and the story and everything else kind of was right up there with it as far as quality goes, and everything about it was just kept me pulled in, and I enjoyed almost every aspect of this game. To count our strawberries and move into final scores. Final scores. Jesus Christ.
You're fired.
Who brought this guy?
The score.
Let's count our scores and oh my god. Let's cut it in. Score, Harry.
I gotta. Hold on, I gotta look at my chart.
Oh god. Clark.
Hold on, I'm counting my score.
Did you only have 2 beers tonight?
Here we go. Ooh, I'm sorry, Steve. I'm going to give it a 4.5. This is going to tie with Beautiful Katamari.
Oh, wow.
I love how Steve mentioned Katamari as well.
Is that... All right.
Yeah. Boom. 4.5.
I don't know why you're apologizing to me, but okay.
Oh, I was saying Katamari shit. No, it's not shit. No, on my scale, 4.5 is just below average.
Yeah. No, it's well, that's also a game that brings happiness, and we know that is void in your life, so.
Yep.
Yeah.
Clark?
I think this game's a buy. It's on sale enough, but even at the full price of whatever, I think it's
$20.
I think it's like $20. I think it's worth it if you like challenging platformers.
Steve?
It's easy A. Call Emma Stone. She knows all about it. But yeah, A. A all the way. It's this is. I don't really have anything bad to say about it for my own personal preference.
I'm going to give this a 97.
Damn.
It is, like I said, almost every segment checks the box. It's fantastic.
It's crazy because I was not expecting you to have that high of a score for a platformer, even as fun as it was, but
yeah.
It's nice. That's where to say, hey, teach their own, man. It's all good.
Exactly. You never know what you're going to get. That's why I like, doing this podcast and playing all these different games that everybody recommends. You never know what you're going to
we have a wide assortment of titles that we bring up.
Yeah, definitely.
Is there any genre we haven't touched on the show?
Racing.
Sports
in general. It's hard to review sports, though.
We're about to do one.
Wait, we have one down, and that's where I'm going to say it's like...
kind of. Just kidding.
Sports entertainment.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, the sports entertainment. But, I mean, some of the ones we have coming down the pipeline, I feel like hit, different corners of different types of games.
Yeah, definitely.
And because it feels like we have been, like, a little, like, I don't know, I don't want to say predictable, but it has been like so diverse recently, and I feel like the lineup we have coming is I cannot wait.
Yeah, we have some fun games coming up down the pipe.
You think we've had predictable?
Yeah,
games?
I didn't understand.
No,
that
not predictable, but that's where I said I don't feel like it's really been like. That's why I said I don't feel like it's been like diverse, different games. Really, I at least like in relative to what's on deck, I feel like this is probably like the most.
I think you're just looking forward to them differently.
Yes.
I think it's been pretty diverse pretty much the whole way through.
Okay.
That's the kind of
We did
nice
a few
part
horror
about doing
games in a row there, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
I think we tend to change it up. Like if we lean into something,
Yeah.
somebody's like, we got to do something else. Like I think it just naturally throws us all over the place.
yeah. All right. Well, if you've enjoyed that episode, we'll join you or you can join us, whatever you want to call it, in 2 weeks
Please join us
for our retrospective of the Xbox.
X.
We don't have that many more.
No.
Stay lovely.
Stay safe.
Stay sexy.
Love you guys.
Thanks for listening. Be sure to follow us on social media and all streaming platforms at Superfun Podcast for more episodes. If you enjoyed the show, tell a friend about us and consider becoming a Patreon member for more exclusive content.